ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः माया बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः माया कल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ वर्ष 183 सुषुप्तिविषया मुक्तिविषया वा श्रुतिस्त्विति उक्तं स्वाप्यसम्पत्योः इति सूत्रह्यति स्फुटम्. So Vidyaranya is questioning, Vidyaranya is answering a question of a Purvapaksha, and in the Purvapaksha was there in 181 and 182. Question is based on a Brihadaranyaka Vakyam. Well, that it indicates that for a person who recognizes this Advaitam, well, there cannot be Dvaita Anubhava. There cannot be Triputi. Kenakam Pashyet, Kenakam Jigret, Kenakam Vijaniyat, etc. Kenakam Shunuyat. So, who sees what, by what, who hears what, by what, who knows what, by what, means there is no one to see, nothing to listen to, nothing to see, and there are no instruments of seeing, etc. Here that's akshepa. Not it is a question that they are expecting an answer. When Brihadaranyaka says this, kenakam jigret, kenakam pashyet, etc., means there is no one. Means the Triputi itself is not there. There is no seer, there is no object of seeing, there is no instrument of seeing. And same way there is no hearer, there is no object of hearing, there is no instrument of hearing. So that means it is this Brihadaranyaka Vakyam, well definitely in Maitreyi Brahmana, negates the Triputi and negates Dvaita Anubhava for a Jnani. So what will Jnani see, smell, taste, touch, etc.? Well, so he claims, Purvapakshi claims that Jnani cannot have a Dvaita Darshan. So well, if it is not there, how can you talk about a Jnani having a Prarabdha Bhoga? Is in all these verses, before the Purvapaksha, well, Vidyaranya said already that, well, Jnani has got Prarabdha. Jnani has a Prarabdha Vasana. Jnani might have Prarabdha, based on Prarabdha Vasana, there will be a desire. And Jnani will definitely have a particular experience, Bhoga also. Jnani may get involved in Loka Sangraha or any other activity. So, and then it generates Bhoga also. So it can't, and it cannot be a binding Bhoga, etc. So like, we gave example that basically it's like watching a magic show. So, well, the observer of that magic show, well, it goes through certain emotions, etc. But they are non-binding. Ultimately, he knows it is all mithya, and so therefore it is seen as an entertainment. So, but various experiences are possible for the person even who is seeing a magic show. And so this all things before the Purvapaksha, have been described. So Vidyaranya elaborately established actually the possibility of Bhoga for a Jnani. Based on that only this Purvapaksha is raised. What? That this, how can there be a bhoga, etc. Bhoga experience is not possible because Upanishad clearly, this Vedanik Upanishad clearly says that Jnani does not see the duality, doesn't at all, does not experience the duality at all. And that is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 2.4.14. It is also elsewhere in the 4th chapter. Same Maitri Brahmanam is there with a little bit difference. So Upanishad clearly says Jnani does not see duality, does not experience duality. 2.4.14 and 4.5.15, in which Triputi itself is negated. Triputi negated means experience negated. No seer, see, experience involves Triputi. Sight experience takes place because of a seer. Then there will be object of seeing, and there will be instrument of seeing. Then only experience takes place. Same way hearer, hearing, object of hearing, etc. Then only experience takes place. So here, definitely this Purvapakshi says for a Jnani there is no Dvaita Anubhava itself because the Triputi itself is negated. So there is no experience of duality. The Jnani who establish in non-duality, please understand this. Jnani who establish in non-duality, he knows the non-dual Brahman as Atma, he will not have an experience of duality. After we establish everything, Jnani will have a prarabdha vasana, and then based on that prarabdha, desire also will be there, and he will have a particular experience also, and all that is possible for Jnani. After we establish everything, now still Purvapakshi is not convinced, and he brought this Brihadaranyaka Vakyam that it is not possible. Upanishad negates for a Jnani of Advaita Jnani. He will not have experience of duality at all. Anyway, and then Vidyaranya introduced this answer in 182 by just one word, Shrunu. If you see in 182, the second line, Tathacha vidushaha bhogaha katham syat iti chet. So this is a Purvapaksha. How come a Jnani will have an experience of this bhoga? Bhoga means any experience. Sukha dukha, of course. Sukha dukha sakshatkaraha bhoga. How can a Jnani will have any bhoga? Katham syat iti chet. If you say so, Vidyaranya says, Shrunu, will answer you. And so, in 183, there is an answer. Now, Vidyaranya gives an answer. We also have an answer. Before Vidyaranya's answer, we will see our answer. So, there are two answers. I told you in the last sentence, that there are two answers. First answer from ourselves. What is that answer? It's a general answer we give. It's not a big thing. It's simple. See, whenever Shruti negates Dvaita Darshanam, definitely it negates the Dvaita Satyatva Darshanam. We say that. So, not a Dvaita Anubhava. So, Dvaita Anubhava will continue, but Dvaita Satyatva will not be there. And that is why Dvaitam is mithya for us. If Dvaita Anubhava itself is negated, then Dvaitam is not mithya. Dvaitam is asat, which you never experience. Means definitely it becomes asat. It's not mithya. Mithya is something which you experience and yet it is not real. That's our answer. So, and even science also, we can take help of science whenever we want. No scientific book will negate the experience of sunrise. It negates the sunrise, yet it does not negate the experience of sunrise. Right? It negates sunrise. That there is nothing called sunrise. Means the Satya Satyatvam of a sunrise is negated, but the experience of sunrise is not negated. Same way come to Vedanta. Satyatvam of Dvaitam is negated, not the experience of Dvaitam is negated. And therefore, just as you continue to have an experience of a sunrise with a clear understanding in your mind that there is no sunrise, and therefore you say sunrise is mithya, same way, Jnani understands this Advaitam Brahma as a Satyam, Atma as a Satyam, which is non-dual, and Dvaitam, the duality, etc., which he experiences, is mithya. And so Dvaita Anubhava continues. So, if Dvaita Anubhava continues, then how can there be Advaitam? Oh, that's your question. Very good. See, Advaitam is Satyam when we say, and Dvaitam is Mithya. How come a Mithya thing will push aside a Satyavastu? Please tell us. How come Dvaitam, which is Mithya, can push aside Advaitam? What is Mithya cannot affect Satyam. And therefore, Advaitam is never disturbed by Dvaita Anubhava. The snake on a rope cannot affect the rope. Real snake can affect perhaps, but rope snake cannot affect the rope. And therefore, and several examples are there. So now we make a big statement. Knowledge born of a right source, a valid knowledge, can never be negated by opposite experience. Knowledge born of a valid source can never be opposed by opposite experience. And that is how, even though you see the sunrise, that's your experience, yet, that cannot negate the knowledge born of a valid source called science in my mind, that there is no sunrise. Yeah. Therefore, so this is how it is. Anyway, so knowledge is not negated by Dvaita Anubhava. This is our answer. But Vidyaranya gives a different type of answer, and we will see that. Vidyaranya says, second answer now. Upanishad Vakyam which negates this dualistic experience, that kenakam pashyet, kenakam jigret, kenakam shrunuyat, kenakam vijaniyat, etc., etc. That Upanishad Vakyam is dealing with Sushupti or Videha Mukti, but it doesn't talk about the Jivan Mukti. That's a different way of saying. So in Sushupti also Dvaita Anubhava is not there. In Videha Mukti also the physical body, sense organs, everything, Karana Sharira, everything dissolves. That is what Videha Mukti is. And therefore it's like a sleep. And therefore, if that Dvaita Anubhava also will not be there, in Jivan Mukti Dvaita Anubhava will be there. But as we already said, Satyatva Buddhi has gone away. In Sushupti and in Videha Mukti, Dvaita Anubhava and Dvaita Satyatvam both are not there. In Jivan Mukti, Dvaita Anubhava is there, Dvaita Satyatvam is not there. And therefore, Dvaita Pratiti will continue. Pratiti. Like sunrise experience, Dvaita Pratiti. Pratiti we have used, but you can say Dvaita Anubhava. Sunrise is a Pratiti. You know it is not. We call it as a Pratiti. Anubhava. Anyway, so definitely means Jnani does not take, Jivan Mukta does not take it as a reality because it's a pratiti, Dvaita pratiti. So this difference Purvapakshi does not understand. So he quotes Brihadaranyaka Upanishad where Dvaita Anubhava is negated. Could you follow? So in Sushupti and in Videha Mukti, Dvaita Anubhava also is not there, and Dvaita Satyatvam also is not there. In Jivan Mukta Purusha, Dvaita Satyatvam is not there, Dvaita Anubhava is there. We call Dvaita Pratiti. So this kind of a difference he is not able to understand. So that's how he has brought this Brihadaranyaka Vakyam. Well, see, the person who gains jnana, katham kenakam pashyet, kenakam jigret, kenakam shrunuyat, kenakam vijaniyat, etc., etc. Vidyaranya says, well, that statement does not deal with Jivan Mukti, but Sushupti and Sushupti is often given as an example of a Videha Mukti because both do not perceive the world. There is no Anubhava at all, there is no perception of the world, there is no Anubhava of the world, which is Dvaitam, means Dvaita Anubhava is not there. That's what has been told in verse 183. Sushupti Vishaya, Mukti Vishaya Va. Here in Mukti, you have to add one more word before Mukti. Videha Mukti. Sushupti Vishaya, Mukti Vishaya means Videha Mukti Vishaya Va. Either in this, so Sushupti Vishaya ya Videha Mukti Vishaya Shrutihi. That Shruti Vakya which you are quoting, which is a Maitreyi Brahmanam given in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad at two places, 2.4.15 and I think there is a 4.5.13. Well, I think we will check the number, but I think I gave you last time. Anyway, so this basically in that Maitreyi Brahmana, well, Yajnavalkya has clearly talked about this Videha Mukti very clearly. You see, Yajnavalkya has talked about it Chidabhasa there, really. That's how people, used to ask this kind of a thing. Some people, they they literally dig into this classes, and then they say, well, how can you bring this concept of Chidabhasa? We never see anywhere this Chidabhasa. They say like that. So, in Maitreyi Brahmana, Yajnavalkya has clearly talked about both Chit and Chidabhasa. He says this Chit consciousness, original consciousness, is eternally present, but this Chidabhasa basically is not eternally present. Chidabhasa means we know is reflecting medium, Sukshma Sharira, etc. and with a manifest consciousness. So during Videha Mukti, this Sukshma Sharira dissolves, the medium dissolves permanently, and so Chidabhasa also dissolves. And so the experiencer, the individuality or duality goes away. Well, and original consciousness cannot experience any object naturally. Why it cannot experience any object? The Brahman cannot experience any object. Why? There should be object to experience. Okay? So, to experience, Brahman has to take a avatara as an experiencer, ahankara. So people sometimes say Brahman cannot experience anything. Yeah, but there should be another thing to experience. If there is another thing and if Brahman cannot experience that, then Brahman is not Chaitanyam, it is Jadam. People don't realize and speak something which they should not speak. They say Brahman cannot experience anything. Yet to begin with, there should be an object. Water cannot experience any wave, but water should see something else other than that. Paityam. Brahman cannot experience. If object is there and still Brahman cannot experience, means Brahman is Jadam. Anyway, Swami, why you are so... I have heard one Acharya was saying. Anyway, so pure consciousness cannot experience anything. Naturally, just Chidabhasa only experiences, and that Chidabhasa resolves because Sukshma Sharira resolves. What I am talking, Videha Mukti, where all the three Shariras resolves. Karana Sharira, which is emaciated. Gnani's Karana Sharira, which is emaciated. Because when he was alive there, at that time itself, along with these two bodies, that third Sharira also was emaciating. It was emaciating. Because ignorance has gone. And already Sanchita is burnt. The Kartrutvam is not there. Agami is not getting added to make, this Karana Sharira fat. And therefore it is going. Then emaciated Karana Sharira after the fall of this body, gross body, the emaciated Karana Sharira also resolves. Swamiji, Karana Sharira goes where? Maya. Sukshma Sharira goes where? Sukshma Prapancha. Yeah. Vyashti resolves into Samashti. And Sthula Sharira resolves the gross into gross elements. This Samashti, Sthula Prapancha. And therefore, well, where is now Dvaitam? There is no experience, there is no individuality, nothing. And therefore, well, definitely, Yajnavalkya says in that section, na pretya sanya asti. Na pretya, prakarshena itya. So, prakarshena gatva. Once gone. Prakarshena means once gone, gone for good. That's a pretya. Simply gatvat means yad gatva na nivartante taprap tad dhama paramam mama, Bhagavan says. Yad gatva na nivartante. Generally it is up down. For samsari it is up down. Not for jnani. Gone for good. That's called Videha Mukti. To take birth you should have a Sukshma Sharira, etc. But it resolves. Purpose is served and therefore everything is taken away by Ishvara now. And therefore, Yajnavalkya says after death of a Gnani, means you take it don't take it literally. So take fall of the body. Well, it's at the time of Videha Mukti, Sanya Nasti. Sanya means Chidabhasa is not there. All the names and forms and everything gone. You and me get name because basically we have these three. All the three are there. So once it is gone, Nama Rupe Vihaya, Sanya, gone. Na Pretya. Once it is gone, there is no Sanya. And therefore, so Dvaita Anubhava is definitely not there. And therefore your quotation of Brihadaranyaka here, it is wrong. You are asking that this Jnani who is a Jivan Mukta will not experience Dvaitam, but that Upanishad mantra does not talk about Jivan Mukta. It talks about this Videha Mukti. How can you say Videha Mukti? It says Na Pretya Sanya Asti. So means after this Jnani departs, means Prarabdha is over, Chidabhasa is not there. Sanya means Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is not there, means Chidabhasa resolves. That means all the three Sharira resolves, means it is Videha Mukti. And therefore, you should not quote this Videha Mukti for Jivan Mukta. You are doing wrong thinking. So, it was in the Videha Mukti context. And there are other statements also where Dvaita Anubhava is not there. We are giving you now. That is not in the case of Videha Mukti, but even it is in the case of a Sushupta Purusha also. Brihadaranyaka quotation, of course, is in context of Videha Mukti, but Mandukya Upanishad 6th mantra, definitely is with regards to Sushupti and says that there is no Dvaita Anubhava. So, Yatra Suptau na kanchana kamam kamayate, na kanchana swapnam pashyati, tat Sushuptam. So, while defining Sushupti, Well, experience of world is negated for a sleeper, that has been Dvaita Anubhava is absent for the sleeper, etc. is talked about in Mandukya. And Dvaita Anubhava is absent for this Videha Mukti, Videha Mukta Purusha, naturally, well, definitely, that is in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So, Sushupti Vishaya, it is mentioned, you should take it for Mandukya Upanishad, sixth mantra. And Mukti Vishaya, there also Dvaita Anubhava is not there. That is Videha Mukti Vishaya, that is for Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra. And that has been mentioned, that mantra, partially paraphrasing here by Vidyaranya in verse 181, you can see that. So, Kenakam Pashyet, Kim Jigret, Kim Vadet, etc. Iti Shrutau, Bahugoshitam, etc. So, the mantra has been paraphrased by Vidyaranya himself in verse 181. Anyway, so this Videha Mukti Vishaya is this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra. But still you give a more proof that Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, that mantra, Vaitreya Brahmana, well, talks about Videha Mukti only and not Jivan Mukta. Give us a solid proof. Okay, no problem. Because this may be a Vidyaranya's interpretation. Vidyaranya says, no, well, this is regarding Videha Mukti. Even though Yajnavalkya clearly mentions that Chidabhasa resolves, means all the three medium has resolved. The medium resolves only in the case of a Videha Mukti only. Where is the question of otherwise resolving medium? Bodies, etc., everything, all the three shariras. And therefore, of course, it is very clear, but still, then, well, Vidyaranya says, no problem. This Brihadaranyaka mantra talks about Videha Mukti, that is very certain because Vyasacharya ji has put a stamp on it. Yeah. So, it has been discussed very well in Brahma Sutra. Sutre Atisphutam Uktam, Vidyaranya says. Brahma Sutre Atisphutam Uktam. Which sutra? 4.4.16. What is that sutra? Swapya Sampatyoho. This is a sutra. Swapya Sampatyoho iti. Swapyam means Sushupti. So Swapyam. Swa means, well, in one's own nature. Swa means Swasarupe. And Apyaya, Laya. So in Sushupti also this individuality goes. The very experiencer, Ahankara, Bhokta, resolves in his own Sarupa. So called Swapya. And Sampatti means Videha Mukti. Both these words are borrowed from Chandogya Upanishad 6.1.8. So this has been there. So there it was Swapiti iti nama, etc. All is there. Swam apito bhavati, Swapiti iti nama, etc. etc. It is there in 6.8.1. And so Swapya word for Sushupti and Sampatti for Videha Mukti. These two words have been borrowed from Chandogya. Anyway, so Sampatti means Brahma Nirvanam. So merger into Brahman. It happens in Videha Mukti when all these shariras are gone. Like pot breaks, then pot space merges into total space, that kind of a thing. So here also this pot, these three bodies break, and therefore, so this individual pot space, like this individual, the Jiva is none other than Brahman, well, resolves into Brahman actually. So Jiva also resolves into Brahman. Pot space, but Swamiji, there is no pot space. There is total space. That's what your knowledge. So the same way this Jiva is also not really independent of this Brahman. Jiva is Brahman. Pot space is total space. Jiva also is Brahman. This individual conscious being is really, it's due to this pot, this body. Yeah. So once this pot breaks on Prarabdha, then this here the individual consciousness merges into total consciousness. This is just, it is not literal. Anyway, so definitely, so Jiva basically merges into Paramatma. So Videha Mukti is called merger into Paramatma. Well, this is the meaning of the sutra. Swapya Sampatyoho iti. So in Videha Mukti and in deep sleep state, well, this Jiva merges into Brahman. But here in Sushupti, he comes back again. That prarabdha is there. So he merges, but few hours. And well, in Videha Mukti, Jiva merges into Brahman for good. Na pretya samnyasti. So that is how it is. So Shankaracharya ji says in both states, Dvait Anubhava is not there. And so you said Jnani does not have a Dvait Anubhava. Look at the Brihadaranyaka mantra, etc. But that mantra talks about Videha Mukti. And that reveals. And and we give you one more state where even Dvait Anubhava is not there. And that is Sushupti, that has been talked about in Mandukya Upanishad, 6th mantra. So please don't quote Brihadaranyaka mantra. Well, this Jnani who has a Advaita Jnanam will not have Advaita Anubhava. Well, Upanishad says, don't quote. So verse 184. Anyatha yajnavalkyadehe acharyatvam na sambhavet dvaita drashtava vidvatta dvaita drashtau na vagvadet. Now, Purapakshi, this is an amazing thing, really. This is why this Brihadaranyaka, this Pancadasi is, is really a wonderful text, because when you give some answer, then it leads to more question. Like this homeopathy thing, they say if you take a homeopathy things to remove all certain disorders, etc., what it does actually, it brings out more disorders manifest. So anyway, so this is called Mananam. That's how I said in the beginning itself, while studying this Panchadashi, I said this is purely a text of Mananam. So you are seeing, we are resolving doubts. And when we resolve the doubts, another doubt comes, means another Purapakshi comes. Or the same Purapakshi brings out some more question. That we resolve. And then another Purapakshi. So anyway, so now Purapakshi asks that why can't you say Dvaita Anubhava itself is not there even for a Jivan Mukti? Forget about this Sushupti and Videha Mukti. Forget about that mantra and everything of Brihadaranyaka. Forget. Let us say this Dvaita Anubhava is not there for Jivan Mukta also. What is your problem in accepting that? He is asking us. Well, a wise person sees only Brahman, nothing else. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, that's what you are also quoting all the time, and you are, chanting also at the time of eating. That you don't see, if you are seeing still food, if you are seeing chapati, dal and etc., means you are not Jnani. If you are seeing Brahman, even you should not see a katori also, you should not see plate. Because if you see plate and katori, that katori, right? Yeah, katori. Okay. And plate and katori, if you see, and then inside you see Brahman, then still you are not Jnani. You see Brahman into Brahman. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam. Offerer is Brahman and he is the hand. You should not say hand. There is Brahman, in that there is a Brahman, in that there is Brahman, and offering also is Brahman. You should say, one who sees, he is a Jnani. Everything Brahman. He sees Brahman everywhere. He doesn't see Dvaitam. That's how Bhagavan also said. And therefore, even I am ready to forget this Brihadaranyaka mantra. But let us accept, Dvaita Anubhava is not there for even Jivan Mukta also. Well, Vidyaranya says, well, if you say wise people see Brahma everywhere, they don't see world at all, then how will they teach? To teach, at least he should see some students. There will be a Shishya Darshanam. Otherwise, no teaching of Vedanta will take place. Then Guru Shishya Andha Parampara will be there. All those who teach Vedanta, they are andhas. Because they don't see, right? They don't see anything. Because one who sees duality, experience duality, he is not Jnani. Jnani is one who does not see at all. Then what about Yajnavalkya? Yajnavalkya would not have seen Maitreyi. Yeah, without seeing Maitreyi, he keeps on speaking and speaking. Oh, Yajnavalkya is seeing what? Maitreyi. How can you say? Are, are. Have you seen that word? Ah. Atma va are drashtavya. You know the meaning of are? You will really love Yajnavalkya. Why? Because Yajnavalkya loves his wife very much. When you love a person very much, you use are. Means, oh dear. So he must be seeing very clearly. And he has said, Atmavare drashtavyah, Atmava are drashtavyah, shrotavyah, mantavyah. So Yajnavalkya is seeing a wife. Dvaita darshanam is there. Therefore, perhaps Yajnavalkya is not a wise person. Okay? Are you? Yajnavalkya dehe, Acharya says now. Yajnavalkya dehe, great Acharya like Yajnavalkya. He quotes Yajnavalkya because if any other would be there, we will say he is a Tom, Dick, and Harry. We don't care. We don't see them as a Jnani. Therefore, he has brought an example where Shruti tells he is a Jnani. Therefore, you will not have any scope to say he is Ajnani. Yeah, we should understand why Yajnavalkya example has been given by Vidyaranya. So, Upanishad himself presents Yajnavalkya as a teacher of a Brahmagnani to and he was teaching Brahmagnanam to Maitreyi. So, definitely, Upanishad itself gives a certification to Yajnavalkya. So, Yajnavalkya dehe acharyatvam na sambhavet, because Yajnavalkya was seeing a Maitreyi, Dvaita darshanam is there, and therefore, and in that case, Acharya status itself will not be possible, because if they are seeing Dvaitam, then they will not be Advaita Acharya. Acharyatvam na sambhavet. To have Acharya, well, you should have a Shishya, and you should see the Shishya also. So, your contention, O Purupakshi, Dvaita drashtau avidvatta. When you perceive the world, Dvaita drashtau, Dvaita anubhava. In perception of the world, it's a seventh case. Dvaita drashti vishaye. So in the perception of the world, well, with regards to this perception of the world, avidvatta, then there will be Ajnani status. Because you are saying Jivan Mukta also does not experience Dvaitam. Means the Jnani should not even experience Dvaitam, should not see the world at all. And in that case, well, they will be whoever Acharya is there and is seeing a student, etc., and addressing them, they are not really Advaita Acharya. They are all Ajnanis. So those who do not see the world is Jnani, according to your opinion. Then what will happen? Dvaita adrashto vagnavadet. Dvaita adrashto satyam vagnavadet. So, well, because you don't see any student anything. You don't see at all. Nothing. No, you don't see class, you don't see Zoom, you don't see students. Then how Vagvadet? How mouth will speak? Mouth also would not speak anything. The words are not directed to anyone. Right? And if he does not see anything and still speaks, then that's it. He is not a Jnani. He is a mentally challenged. Okay? Understood? Mentally challenged. Because nobody is there. He doesn't see at all and still keep on speaking and speaking. Well, there is an issue now. Let's take that Swami into somewhere, so somebody hears outside and says, he was speaking inside the room and there is nobody. I think that is true with the Zoom classes perhaps. Because he speaks alone. What a thing. And this is a rampant thing. This is most rampant about Vedantin. Most rampant misunderstanding about Vedantin is this. How can he see Dvaita? He is seeing roti, he is seeing dal, he is seeing that. So he definitely, there is Dvaita darshanam. Then how can he is a Advaiti? Paityam again. we say one more step. He sees better than even any Ajnani. Not he does not see. He sees better. Jnani sees better. What better? World. Jnani sees better than Ajnani. Why? 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 Because his mind is quiet. When your mind is quiet, you receive better. Your perception is better. Your reception is better. Your retention is better. And therefore, he sees better, in fact. Not he does not see. He sees better. When duality is not perceived, well, that is not Advaitam. That's a Sushupti, etc. or Videha Mukti. Jivan Mukta definitely have a Dvaita Anubhava. Mithya Dvaita Anubhava. Understand? Now another Purvapaksha. Very beautiful. This Purvapaksha which I am going to talk to you is believed by many Vedantic Acharyas, including one Acharya, one Swami in a present. I will not name, but I had once discussion and then I came to know that he believes this. Let's see this. What is a Purvapaksha? 185. Nirvikalpa samadhau tu dvaita darshana hetutah saiva paroksha vidyeti chet sushuptis tatha nakim. So, Vidyaranya answers a very, very important Purvapaksha, and that is held by, as I told you, many Acharyas also in past, and one Acharya is there even in the present also believes this. That Advaita Jnanam can take place in Samadhi. So, well, during Shravanam, you get an idea of Advaitam. So, when you listen Shastra, Upanishad, etc., you get Advaita Jnana. Correct. But that is Paroksha Jnana. In general, in a common parlance, who do not know this Paroksha, etc., they say theoretical knowledge. You get a Paroksha Jnana. Whereas practical Jnanam, Aparoksha Jnanam, or experience, etc., take place in Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. And Vidyaranya is going to refute this idea. That Purvapakshi's claim is based on idea that Dvaitam and Advaitam are contradictory, and therefore presence of one negates the other. So, his contention is the student in Jagrata Avastha who is listening from an Acharya, studying and listening, and his sense organs are open, he is seeing Acharya, he is listening Acharya, words, etc. So, there is definitely Dvaita Darshanam is there. He is seeing Acharya, and he does a Namaskara also, and he listens 1 hour, etc., and he goes, etc. All this, all Dvaita Darshanam is there. And therefore, attending Vedanta class in Jagrata Avastha, so Dvaita Darshanam is there. And therefore, Advaita Jnanam cannot take place in Jagrata Avastha. Because when Dvaitam is there, you are experiencing Dvaitam. And then how can you have a Advaita Jnana? That's not possible. And therefore, that Advaita Jnanam, if you want to say, because he is listening about Advaita Atma, then Advaita Jnanam is there, but that is really, it's a theoretical Paroksha Jnana. So Advaita Jnanam, to get a direct Advaita Jnanam, experience of Advaita Jnanam, you should do Nididhyasanam. And then you should do Nididhyasanam, and it should slowly goes towards. Simple Nididhyasanam will not help. That will not. All sense organs he has to withdraw slowly. Then slowly he has started this meditating on Advaita, etc. in a Jagrata Avastha. But slowly sense organs are withdrawn, mind also is totally resolved, etc. And he comes to the Turiya Avastha. And in that, Dvaita Darshanam stops. And now he understands Atma is Advaita. Totally Dvaita Anubhava also will go away. When Dvaita Anubhava totally goes away, then Advaita Jnanam takes place. When one is Jagrat Avastha, Dvaitam is all the time he is experiencing. How will he get that everything is Advaita, Atma, etc., everything is Brahman? That's not possible. So, after gaining Jnanam, which is theoretical, Paroksha Jnanam, that Aparoksha Sakshatkara, etc., well, Advaita Sakshatkara takes place only in Turiyavastha, Samadhi, where all sense organs are gone, resolved, mind is resolved. Even this dhyata, the meditator also is resolved, a state of absorption, where he will have Advaita Sakshatkara. Therefore, knowledge gained in that avastha is aparo, Sakshatkara, we can say. And Advaita Jnanam in Jagrata avastha is Paroksham. And it is obstructed by Dvaita Anubhava, Dvaita Darshana. That's what he says. So, well, Yajnavalkya was a Jnani, but when he was teaching, to Maitreyi, naturally he was seeing Maitreyi, addressing Maitreyi, etc. But we feel that he even though he is a Jnani, but if he is not a Pakka, he must be having just book knowledge. So if Yajnavalkya has to realize, he also has to stop teaching. He should dismiss Maitreyi by going into absorption state, Turyavastha. He resolves his sense organs, he resolves mind, and so he ahankara, I am husband, etc. Everything should resolve. He should dismiss that Maitreyi, etc. all, and sit in Samadhi. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava. Samadhisthasya. So that is there. The sthita prajna, who is samadhistha, samadho tishtati. So he is in Samadhi. Sthita prajna is in Samadhi. See, even Arjuna is asking. See, and so in that state he has Advaita Sakshatkara. Advaita Jnana means Jagrata Avastha, definitely. But along with that Dvaita Anubhava, teacher and class and this and that and book and so many things, other students, all Dvaitam, 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 Dvaitam. And therefore that Advaita Jnanam, which is mixed with this Dvaita Anubhava, is not helpful for realization of the Advaita, Atma. So he should slowly, Dvaita Anubhava, to negate Dvaita Anubhava is this Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. Vikalpa is Dvaitam. Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. All the Dvaitam should be resolved. And then that Paroksha Jnanam becomes Aparoksha. So, Atma Sakshatkara should be done only in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. One Acharya of Pujya Swamiji, also disciple of Pujya Swamiji, believes this. Senior Acharya. Anyway, so this is when you come out, then you get Dvaita Jnana. Because what this is going to be. Because you go to Samadhi, fine, no problem, Advaita. But you will come down, then again Dvaita Anubhava. Again my Jnanam goes up. And that is how, even in Jnanis, we have varieties. Yeah? Brahmavid Varaha, Brahmavid Variyan, Brahmavid Varishtha. Yeah. Brahmavid Varaha. Well, definitely he knows, but still he doesn't have this, he does not sit in this samadhi for a long time. Best is Brahmavid Varishtha. Well, he goes to Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and he remains there. He is alive, but no thought. He enjoys Brahmananda. He does not contact the world. World does not contact him. World cannot contact him. Right? They may be calling with some name. Oh Swami! But he does not listen at all. And you can't feed him also. Of course, his mouth is maybe open. You can put one morsel, but if he really gulps, means he's seeing the food, experiencing the food. Dvaitam. No. Nirvikalpak samadhi. So the food also remains there, etc. This is a state of a Brahmavit Varishtha. You are not accepting Jnanis will, you were laughing. Jnanis have a different status. This is a good Jnani, then better Jnani, and best Jnani, etc. This is depending upon the state of a Nirvikalpak. Nirvikalpak Samadhi, he goes and goes. He won't come back. If he comes back, then Dvaita Anubhava. Then that Advaitam will not be there. And therefore, we feel, this is our view, don't feel bad. But Yajnavalkya is not, he's not a Pakka Jnani. He has a knowledge, all book knowledge, I think. He is Nirvikalpaka Samadho Dvaita Adarshanam. When everything is withdrawn, for that you have to learn Ashtanga Yoga. There is no way out. To come to our Samadhi, which is very desirable for Advaita, Anubhava, well, there is, you have to come through this route. Highest state is thoughtless state. Chitta vritti nirodha. No Dvaita Anubhava whatsoever. When Dvaita Anubhava is not there, Advaita prevails. So beautiful. Hetutaha. Because of that reason, means only in that state aparoksha jnanam takes place. Well, since he experienced directly Advaitam, no more Triputi to disturb Advaitam, Saeva Paroksha Vidya. That knowledge which obtained in this Samadhi is Aparoksha Jnanam, is enlightenment. And Yajnavalkya has not that Vidya. Sorry to say that, but we believe so. Vidyaranya says, Iti Chet. If that is your statement, Advaita state is achieved by removing Dvaita experience. If you say so, then why should I go to Samadhi? Why should I go to Samadhi? You say, to gain this experience of Advaita, Advaita status is achieved by removing Dvaita Anubhava. Why should I go to Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Bhagavan has given me that already. Yeah. Easier method. Why should I come to your Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, and nothing is easier? Asana itself is not easier. I can't sit even in one asana for 2 minutes. No. Easier method to negate Dvaita Anubhava and have a Advaita Anubhava. Well, Sushupti is there. In fact, in Swayam Jyotir Brahmana, well, beautiful description of Sushupti. That it's Ananda. The description is there. In sleep, we enjoy Advaita Ananda. So Vidyaranya says, Tata Sushupti hi na keep. Why can't you take sleep as or as similar Advaita Avastha? Purvapakshi says, you are really, I thought you are intelligent person, but along with Yajnavalkya, I am telling you also, you don't have much stuff here. You should understand, Advaitam of a Samadhi is different from Advaitam of a Sushupti. Kindly don't equate these two. We are not full that we reach to the climax of this Samadhi by Ashtanga Yoga, which you say it is equated with the Sushupti. Sushupti Advaita Anubhava is there. In Samadhi Advaita Anubhava is there. Therefore both are same. Kya baat hai? In Samadhi, Advaitam is there along with Jnanam. Jnanam which he has received in Jagrat Avastha. Right? He has listened to the teacher. He has Advaita Jnanam, and now he removes this Dvaita Anubhava, and now he experiences Advaitam along with the Jnanam. In Sushupti, Advaita Anubhava is there, but Ajnanam. And therefore, one is very exalted, other is not exalted. Just darkness, ignorance is there. Verse 186. So, आत्मतत्त्वं न जानाति सुप्तो यदि तदा त्वया आत्मधीरेव विद्येति वाच्यं न द्वैतस्विस्मृतिः. So Purupakshi says, don't equate both this. One has a jnanam, other is a jnanam. Suptaha atma tattvam na janati. So he does not have aparoksha jnanam. Samadhistha purushaha janati. Well, whereas the person who is in samadhi, he knows. And he has Advaita Jnanam, but then Sakshatkara, Advaita Sakshatkara was not there because in the waking state, all time experiencing Dvaitam. Then Advaita Sakshatkara cannot take place. Both are opposite, Dvaitam and Advaitam. And therefore he has taken himself to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is along with the Advaita Jnanam. Whereas in Sushupti it is not. So you don't equate these two things. This is a Purupakshi. Vidyaranya says, Yadi, Tada, well, Yadi, if you say so, if you say like this, then in Sushupti also, Dvaita Darshanam is absent. In Samadhi also it is the same. It is common in both. Samadhi, the person who is in Samadhi also is he is a Jnani. And in the person who is sleeping, even though he is Advaita Anubhava, but he is a Ajnani. He has no Jnanam. So difference between two, you are differentiating these two based on what? We are asking. You are equating. You say you should not equate. You say it like this to us. No, they are different. One is exalted state. Other is a not exalted. What is exalted is due to Advaita Anubhava or Jnanam. No, it is Advaita Jnanam only. Difference is not whether you see Dvaitam or not. That's not a criteria. Difference is Jnanam. Atmadihi eva vidya. Self-knowledge is the one which is required. Then Vidyaranya says, why do you insist on Nirvikalpak Samadhi? Even you are saying Nirvikalpak Samadhi, you are praising too much, not because of Advaita Anubhava, because of a Advaita Jnanam. Because of that only your state is exalted compared to the Sushupti where even Advaita Anubhava is there. Then this exalted status of Nirvikalpak Samadhi is not due to Samadhi, it's due to Jnanam. And therefore, advantage of Nirvikalpak Samadhi is Advaita Darshanam, but that you get in sleep also. So don't talk about Dvaita Adarshanam. Dvaita Adarshanam means no experience of Dvaitam. In our Nirvikalpa Samadhi, no experience of Dvaitam. No experience of Dvaitam. Oh, that is there in Sushupti. No. Sushupti has a ignorance. And here there is a knowledge. So the difference between two you are doing and considering your Samadhi as exalted, not because you are not seeing Dvaitam there, but because of knowledge. So what is exalted? Exalted is knowledge or exalted is a Dvaita Anubhava, absence of Dvaita Anubhava? Please tell us. Could you follow what I am saying or not? Okay. If you are not following, I will have to take it again. So don't talk about Dvaita Adarshanam. What makes Nirvikalpak Samadhi makes superior, is ultimately Jnanam. That Jnanam can be acquired through Shastra in Jagrata Avastha. And so you emphasize Jnanam, not Avastha. You should do that. So, so basically he says here, Atmadihi eva vidya iti na vachyam dvaita vismritihi, na dvaita vismritihi. You should not talk about the non-perception of a duality. In Shravanam you get knowledge. For Dvaita Adarshanam, Samadhi is required, etc. Then some Sushupti also is there. Jnanam is available in Jagrata Avastha, and Dvaita Adarshanam is available in Sushupti Avastha and even in Samadhi also. And what is more important even also, for you also you are saying, is Jnanam. So when definitely, then why do we require samadhi at all? For that we think that he is now gone. No, no, no. Purapakshi comes with a further question. Very beautiful argument. We'll see on Wednesday. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.